it's me, Ashley, your Southern Lesbian. I'm back. Now what? Hope y'all are having a good week. Y'all, I had coffee already, so here we go. It's going to be one of those episodes. Here we are, slap dab in the middle of the holidays, y'all. And I'm sure if y'all went to Thanksgiving dinner with your family or friends or whatever, you probably already experienced a little bit of just, uncomfortability. We kind of silo and cocoon in our own worlds a little bit, and then we get thrust into family time. And depending, on where you are, if you're in the States, if you're in a country that's gone through some political unrest, it could be a bit challenging. So anyway, I hope y'all got through that okay. This is staying a little bit on brand with what we've been talking about. I was just having a think on this, and y'all, I get inspired by some of these quotes I find, and then it just is like, okay, let's do an episode on that. So forgive me, just here we are. This is about relationships too, but it's more about, again, I say your relationship could be with your family, it could be with a friend, it doesn't have to be with a romantic partner. Relationships are relationships, right? We still need to learn how to get along with one another. So today's topic is what drives you? Rethinking your family values. Again, I was inspired by a quote I saw, y'all, and I follow a brilliant lady online named Magdalena McClellan, who I have a lot of respect for, and she journal prompts, y'all. She gives journal prompts, and I steal some of them sometimes, pass on to y'all, but I think she'd be okay with that. So she posted a week or two ago about what drives you. Is it fear? Is it to be seen? Is it simply survival? Ooh. And I, of course, encourage everybody to journal that out on your own. So I had to have a think on that. What drives you? And that reminded me of a quote that I've heard by Michael Bernard Beckwith from Agape International Spiritual Center, who I love and adore. And he used to always say in those services that you're pushed by pain until you're pulled by a vision. Oof. That one, my best friend and I used to go to those services, and he and I would look at each other and go, well, if that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. You're pushed by pain until you're pulled by a vision. So again, what drives you? Do you have a vision? Do you have something in your distant sights or not so distant sights that inspires you, that uplifts you, that motivates you, that can be your North Star, that can keep you focused when the going gets rough in your relationship, in life, in a health diagnosis, in whatever is happening, job loss, I don't know. I think it's so important, and I've talked about this ad nauseum on this platform, as y'all know. I'm going to tie it back in a little bit to relationships today and why it's important. As I'm thinking about what drives me, and y'all know, from at the time that you're a little tiny baby child, right? You are shaped by the world around you, like everything you absorb, everything. All your beliefs you absorb from such an early age. We're conditioned by our parents, by those close to us around us. And I would say that probably starts, I'm not a doctor. I'm not whatever. I'm just making this up as I go, as y'all know. And let me just reiterate here too, I don't have all the answers. I know I'm not trying to pretend I have all the answers. I've just noticed that throughout my journey, I guess you could call it, of learning how to do things better in life, I gravitate towards people who can teach me a little bit about the things that I don't know about. So I'm just saying this is where I am on my journey, and if I can help y'all with some of the things that I've already learned, great. You can probably help me with some of the things you've learned too. And there are people that I follow that are ahead of me that I constantly look to and go, how do they know that? Anyway, that's just how life works, right? Back to you learning all these things as a child. So your beliefs, again, according to Abraham Hicks and other people that I follow, say that your beliefs are just thoughts you continue to think. Belief is just a thought you keep on thinking. So if that's the case, y'all, then some of the beliefs that we might be continuing to think, maybe we really need to take a hard look at. So this brings me to, can we rethink our family traditions, or even, y'all don't come at me, our non-negotiables? I said that. Yes, I did. Because I think as humans, we grow, we evolve. I know that the things I've wanted in life have changed and evolved as I've grown. I don't want the same things I wanted when I was 20. Do you? Well, you might be 20, so forgive me. I'm just saying, here we are in this place in life, and honestly, with each decade, it's sort of that big thing or those things that you really want kind of changes a lot. Now, there are some things that I've always been steadfast on. I've always wanted a home. that feels warm and cozy. I've always wanted family. I've always wanted my own career, my own company, my own platform, whatever you have it. I want to be my own boss. I want to have something that allows me to create. Like, those are my non-negotiables. So there are other things, like I won't date a smoker. I think it's disgusting. Sorry. All I'm saying is, over the years, the things that I have wanted and found to be important have changed. So let's take a look at this. What beliefs have shaped my life up until now, and are they still serving my highest good? Y'all write that down, journal that one too. What beliefs have shaped your life, and are they still continuing to serve your highest good? Well, I was raised in the church. I was raised Southern Baptist. So let me start there. Y'all know what that means, right? That means hellfire and brimstone to you if you're gay, first of all. So we already know what that looks like. I don't need to dive into that on this episode. So that was a huge hurdle I had to get past when I was young, and really listen to that inner knowing inside myself and know that not only did I need to get away from that church, but I needed to get out of that city I grew up in, because literally my friends were talking about committing suicide, and I knew that I would end up in that camp if I wasn't careful. There was no support there, right? There's certain things that you just like, I got to get out of here or this isn't going to work. But what else? That to me was something that was pretty clear cut for me. I didn't have to think on that one too much. I just had that innate knowing that I had to get the F out. But what about the other things in your day-to-day? Like something that's come up for me again and again over the years, whether be it watching my friends or from my own experiences, not blindly trusting my healthcare professionals. I'm not a healthcare professional, but I said don't blindly trust them. Like when you get a diagnosis, when you get put on a new medication, research that shit. Get a second opinion. If something feels weird and you're like, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel on this, or this doesn't feel quite right, just research it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying combat your doctor and slap her upside her head. She might deserve it, but no, I'm kidding. I'm just saying I think that we all need to be our own advocates, because I do believe we are all gifted with this intuition, right? And I do believe that our job here is to allow things to come at us. We can't stop that. It's going to happen. It's part of life. We have this contrast. I believe there's this stream of well-being that's ever flowing towards us, but there's also contrast, and that's meant to strengthen us, maybe redirect us on our path a little bit. So when these things happen, what do you do with this? I think that it's our job. Literally make it your job in life to stay positive. Well, how do you do that, Ashley? How do you keep that vision when you're being pulled down by pain? Well, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying I do think it's our job, and I do think it makes a difference in not just your mental health, but your physical health. There's been research at this point that shows the power of positivity on your mind. So I notice, and this is something I've had to work at real hard, and I'm getting back to that youthful conditioning. I grew up in a family where worst case scenario was always discussed, and the what ifs and the fear of not having enough money was always discussed, and the push, go get that job that pays you an outstanding amount of money, no matter how hard you have to work, no matter if it kills you in the process, because that huge amount of money is what's most important. And well, I believed that for a long time, y'all, and I chased that. And I got the big house and the great fancy cars and all the things that I thought I wanted. And then you realize it's a lot of fucking work. And then when do you have time to enjoy your life? I had so much stuff. I had this beautiful house with a big pool that was heated. It was fabulous, y'all. I'm not saying it wasn't. 2 cars, a motorcycle, 5 bedrooms. It was just me. That was a lot to keep up with. A yard, so every week it's like you work, and then on your weekends, what are you doing? You're maintaining all of that stuff. So for me, that was one thing I had to take a step back on and look at and go, wait a minute, do I own my stuff, or is my stuff now owning me? You know what I mean? And I started to really value my time and my freedom a bit more. So as I started traveling around a bit more and staying in places where it was just like me in a room with only what I needed with me, I started realizing, gosh, I can exist for months at a time just on this little bit of stuff. I don't need all that to be happy, and I feel freer quite frankly, not having it all to keep up with. Y'all know, like, it's a luxury to have a couple cars and a motorcycle, but you got to drive all those things regularly to keep them alive. Maybe your plans don't include that. You got to use that pool. You got to clean that pool. You got to, maintain everything. You got to paint the house when it... Anyway, it's just, I'm not complaining for a minute. I loved every minute of having all that stuff, but I just wanted to change. That's my point. Sometimes you hit these places where you're like, well, wait a minute. What does success really look like to me now? It looks like having a wonderful job. Yes, that I make great money. I want the security. I want the security of living a life that I feel like I'm taken care of for the rest of my life. I don't have to financially worry. I want to feel financially free. Absolutely. I no longer want to take that money that I earn and pour it into all of these things that need a shit ton of maintenance. That's all I'm saying. I want the freedom. I want the freedom to travel when I want to. I want the freedom to spend quality time with the people I love, with my family. I want that. Like, I recognize that I just didn't have time for anything. That's not fun. Nobody wants that, I don't think. And I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were interviewing these different billionaires and heads of corporations. And that was the one thing they were saying that they really regretted. It's like, you reach this certain level and the one thing they don't have is time. I'm like, well, I get that. I don't want that either. Listen, these thoughts and beliefs that we grow up with, we could spend a year just talking about the different beliefs we grow up with. But my point is, I think that all these things that shape us, we don't even realize sometimes how much they are just an integral part of who we are and our personality. And it can also be, as I found recently, y'all, in the way we resolve conflict. It's like you watch your parents, you model their behavior as a young child. And if you grew up watching your parents argue things out, that just feels normal. If you watch them sit down and talk kindly to one another, that just feels normal. So for me, a lot of that had to be undone and is still having to be undone. I may have learned, like I said, a lot of things, but I'm not fully to where I would like to be yet. And relationships, friendships, family dynamics allow me to continue to practice these moments. And they always catch you off guard. And the one that catches me the worst every time, y'all, is my mom. Like, she can trigger me. I love you dearly, Mom. She ain't watching. She can trigger me like nobody's freaking business. And it'll come out of left field and just knock me on my ass in an instant. So, and every time it happens, I'm like, it's usually like that knee-jerk reaction. And then I go, shit, this was one of those moments where I should, zip it and walk away from her, or just be quiet and let her say whatever she's going to say, because it doesn't matter. That's not how I feel about me. And she doesn't mean it. That's the way she learned and grew up, and she never did any work. She came from that generation where they just didn't believe in therapy, right? I forgive her. I don't hold these things against her, because I know it's just how she comes, and I love her. But those things, y'all, those little things that we don't realize, like I said, that shape your personality, if we don't work on these things, if we don't learn how to control these things, they can really severely impact our relationships. And, I'm having some things pop up right now. And, the girl that I'm dating, I'm sure she's watching this. And babe, it's like, I still have stuff to work on, and we all do, but it catches me off guard every single time. And for me personally, I've realized that I'm a person that needs some time to step back. A couple hours is usually enough, just to be on my own, to sit, go for a walk, calm down, let my head get cool, and then go, oh yeah, I could probably look at this differently. And that's hard to admit too, but I think it's so important to surround ourselves with people who are willing to say that. I didn't grow up in a family where people admitted they were wrong. They still don't admit they're wrong. And they don't often come back and apologize for things. It's just like you sort of get this brutal whatever said and, oh, well, you're too sensitive. Well, that doesn't work for me as an adult. I don't want to be around people who tell me I'm too sensitive. I want somebody who's going to be kind. And if I say that really hurts my feelings, I want somebody that goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Let me explain what I meant by that. You know what I'm saying. And I want to be that person too. It takes work, y'all, doesn't it? It does. You know it. And here we are, again, right in the thick of the holidays. So things to keep in mind. So I'm going to start when I'm walking into these situations, be it with her, be it with family. whatever. I have to now mentally prepare myself and say, Ashley, you're about to walk into that ring again, and just be prepared. Glass walls all around me, and be prepared. Wonder Woman bracelets to deflect those things that come up. Take a deep breath. Walk away if you have to. Tell them you got to pee. Tell them you got to walk the dog. Whatever it is you need to do. It's easier said than done for sure. But the other thing that I think is absolutely my job in these moments is for me to remind myself, again, this is where the tools come in. Ashley, this is not your mom speaking to you when you're 7 years old, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All those years I was under her roof hearing these things. Or this isn't her walking away from you in these moments. This is not that. This is someone who has never been unkind to you, right? And that's just, of course, in a relationship scenario or a friendship scenario. Walking back in with family, I basically just tell myself, y'all, I don't have to live here anymore, and I can get through anything for a couple of hours. And that's kind of what I have to do. Not that my family is difficult. I love my family. They're so much fun, and we always have a fantastic time. I'm just saying, every once in a while, there's that random comment that flies at you that you're like, that didn't feel so great. But this is the family dynamic we grew up in, and again, I love them. It's how we come. So the problem is, if I'm not careful, I can really easily slide back into that dynamic, that toxic teasing that happens when somebody will bait you, because that's basically what they're doing, right? And I'm the one that's changed. I grew up in this environment where everybody picks at each other, and here's the problem. I ended up doing that and teasing a friend a few years ago, who was a very dear friend, producer friend of mine, and she looked at me one day and said, Ashley, that teasing that you do, that is toxic, and I do not like it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I am so sorry. I never looked at it that way. And she goes, well, there's a little element of truth in that teasing, isn't there, to what you're actually trying to say to me, and I don't like it. And I went, okay, noted. And not only did I stop doing it with her, I realized that I really needed to stop doing it, period. Because, people don't know how to take it sometimes. I don't like it when people do it to me, and my defense has always been to give it back to you, give it back to you, give it back to you. Try to one-up you, try to make my comment more hurtful than your comment. Ha ha, isn't that fun? No, it's really not. It's really not. So that has taken a lot of work for me to step back from sliding back into old habits, behaving that way, reacting, responding, fighting, combating, when all I want to do is go, well, why would you say something like that? That's just unkind. And I get it. They think it's fun. And I'm the one that changed. I'm the one that doesn't want to hear that anymore, because the more people I've hung around in healthier circles, we don't speak to each other that way. And yes, we still have fun. And yes, we still tease and do things, but it's just not on that same level. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. When it's hitting below the belt a little bit, and when it's getting in there and like, ouch, or when it's just a little tease about something innocuous, right? As I go through these processes, more and more, like as I continue to grow and evolve and I repeat these processes in these situations, in the family dynamic, if I get through them, if I successfully, and now I have, get through a few years of these holiday events, and I'm able to walk out unscathed, I feel good about it. So the way we heal from all this stuff, the way we grow, the way we evolve, the way we slowly over time get better at this stuff is just repeating the process. It's like I've found that the more I show up to these events and I talk to myself like that before I walk in the door, of like, Ashley, just armor up, be ready, be prepared to take a deep breath, right? You can get through anything for a couple hours. Then at the end of it, I walk out and I'm like, yay, I did it. Those things you just kind of have to get through, and that's fun. Now, with a friend that you're close to or a partner, obviously, it's a little different, but yet it's really the same. It's literally being able to go through this process, talk to your partner. Hey, babe, this doesn't feel good to me, But you've got to have someone on the receiving end that hears you and respects that and says, okay, I don't want to hurt you. I didn't mean to hurt you. Let me see if I can start doing that differently. You guys come to whatever resolution works for you. But the point is, you're going to have these things pop up a few times and deal with them differently and manage them differently. And it may take several times of going through this before Your nervous system can relax with them. You feel like they're hearing you. They've got your back. You've got their back. Everybody's safe. Or at least for me, I think with the background that I have, that's what I need in somebody. So I'm going to respond right now to a question that came in, and this is from Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for this one. She goes by @RadianceGrace. Y'all probably see her commenting. She's lovely. So she asked, Ashley, would you be willing to give any suggestions, tips on what you would do differently should you need to begin the dating experience again with someone? Sounded like awareness was rising on how you might, and I'm curious. Also, deal breakers. I've heard you talk on boundaries, yet I'm also curious, besides the obvious, what are some for you? For example, you don't drink, you eat vegan, etc. Is it a deal breaker if someone you're dating does drink or isn't vegan? And is this a bottom line for you? A non-drinker also, I don't become involved with people that drink due to my own history with it and seek those that are following some sort of spiritual practice or program. I know my own deal breakers may exclude many, yet for my own self-care, I have identified them. Thank you for that very thoughtful question, Rebecca. I appreciate that. So, well, I'm not going to answer that from the point of if I start dating again, because I'm quite happy with who I'm dating. So I'm going to just answer it from where I am right now, because I did have to think about these things when I started dating her. And I will say that this has been a very interesting process for me in exactly what we're talking about today, which is why I wanted to address this question today. Talking about your non-negotiables, talking about your beliefs, right? The things that you think. I know that maybe even at the beginning of this podcast series, I might have said I won't date somebody that's not vegan. If I didn't say it here, I might have said it last year on Life in the New Normal, the other podcast series that I'm on. I don't know. Anyway, I don't feel that way now. And I think it's just because in the beginning I was still a little closer into it. It was harder for me to figure out how to be a vegan in the world because it does take some navigating. I'm vegan and gluten-free for health reasons, and that can be challenging. You know, finding someone that's patient enough with me and kind and considerate enough to want to find these restaurants with me, eat this way at home, that to me is enough. You can eat whatever you want to eat. Also, I just don't think it's my place to tell somebody else what to do in that sense. I mean, it was a process for me to get to this place, and I feel very strongly about it, of course. And this is how I vote for what I want, is by not spending my money on the death of animals, you know? And sorry, I know there are a lot of y'all that probably eat animals. But I'm just saying, you know, I didn't arrive here overnight. This was years in the process of me working with that life coach who was vegan, and she kept kind of bringing it up a little, and I'd go, yeah, that's not going to happen. I was a steak eater, big time, and fish. Oh God, the sushi. Anyway, so long story short, I have found that there are meat substitutes that work for me just fine when I have those cravings now. It's vegan sushi here in London, multiple places that do it quite well. That satisfies that craving for me, so I don't feel like I'm missing out. And I know that not all y'all are living in like cities where you have that. Los Angeles is wonderful for that too. New York is wonderful for that as well. But I get it. Smaller cities, some of y'all are in vegan food desert areas, and it's like, that's challenging. I don't know. You have to do what's best for you, obviously. And hence why I say to this person, you know, if you're kind to me, and she does so many little beautiful things for me that I just, why would I stop myself from experiencing all of this loveliness just because this is a choice that she's making right now and this is a choice that I've made right now? I can't. I don't think that's fair to either of us. You know, I want to experience all of her, and who knows, you know, maybe one day if she's inspired, she'll come to this side of the fence, but it's not my job to pull her there. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel that way at all. And I've realized that because she is so freaking considerate and always wants to make sure that I am in a space where I can eat, that I don't have anything to worry about. So, you know, what do you do? Now, am I going to cook it for her? No. She knows that. I'm not going to cook it for her. She's an adult. She can cook her own meat if she wants to do that. I'll pay for her dinner if that's what she wants to order. That's fine. You know, I want to treat her, and I want her to have what she wants to have and not feel weird about it. As for the drinking, no, I will not date a drinker. And when I say drinker, I mean someone who drinks like every week, is out there, you know, getting a little bit like tying one on. If somebody wants to have a drink every now and then, I'm okay with that. But I don't want to hear that if we're in a relationship, that you're out at the club drinking and letting somebody dance up on you and whatever. You know what I mean? All of our inhibitions come down when we're drinking, and I just think that's a little dangerous if you're in a relationship to be out drinking and in bars. If you want to have one at home, fine. I may join you at some point for a little glass of wine. I don't know. I'm not sober per se. Nothing happened when I decided to stop drinking. It just was a challenge that I accepted from the life coach for a year, and then I realized I felt quite good on it, and I didn't feel the need to go back to it, because this girl also, she doesn't drink, but we've talked about it a bit, and she's like, well, I might want one, here or there, and I'm like, have one. I think it comes down to the person that you're dating. I feel so secure with her and so confident in who she is at this point already, because I see the way she communicates, I see the way she carries herself, I see how responsible she is. I don't think she's going to go out there and do something stupid, so I don't worry about that. So this was another belief I held for myself that I'm going, you know what? I'm open to that. And this is what I'm talking about, y'all. It's these type of things that I think this is where we have to learn to not be so rigid, because I think being so rigid and having our thinking be so black and white, we could miss out on some really beautiful opportunities and miss out on some ways to really beautifully connect with other people. And after everything that we've just gone through as a society in this world, on this planet, I think we desperately need that connection right now. So what are your things? What are your little non-negotiables? What are the things that, you've sort of held steadfast on that maybe, can you imagine a best case scenario where somebody comes in that is so wonderful that you might go, maybe I'll look at that a little bit differently, or maybe I can understand why they think that, or maybe I'll be okay and I'm still safe being around this person because I feel I can trust them, even though their belief is this. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to wrap it up with two things quickly here now. So this is another little journal prompt, y'all, and I just love it. How can I bring more intentionality to my goals, focusing less on the destination and more on the journey? Well, Ashley, you're contradicting yourself a little bit right there, because I just said you need to be pulled by a vision. Stop being pushed by pain. Start being pulled by a vision. Let's bring this all back around, right? I don't know where I went with that, y'all. Super ADHD kicking in. The vision. I think a couple takeaways from this episode. Okay. I want you guys to identify what is that big thing for you. What is your really important, all-encompassing thing that you're reaching for? Because that thing will continue to pull you forward, pulled by the vision, right? It'll pull you forward as all these other little things are coming at you, that you get to decide about along your journey. And we're meant to enjoy this journey. We really are. And yeah, it's challenging as some days. But I do think that if we have this thing, whatever your thing is that you're working towards, that is your North Star, if you can hold that through these moments of people coming at you, knocking at you, you can sort of knock these aside and go, I'm all good. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm good because I know where I'm going. I don't give a what they say about me. Sorry, y'all, pardon me. Don't listen to kids. I don't give a what they say about me because I know where I'm going. I know what this vision is for me. Does that make sense, y'all? That's where I'm trying to get. And that in turn will help you enjoy the journey, right? Yes, you're focused on that destination, but it's out there. You still got to go through that journey to get there, and there's going to be things along the way. That's my point. And we're here, and we're meant to enjoy all of it, even the hard times. Just keep positive as best you can. It will change everything in your life. So when these things pop up, have something in mind. I know where my head, the things I need to think of or the music I need to put on that will help me when these things come up and when I get into this dysregulated state. There's certain music that I go to. There are certain thoughts that I sit and just focus on. Things that really make me happy. Horses, a dog, running in the woods, somebody that I love, things that I want, where I'm headed. I just allow myself to sit in those thoughts for It doesn't take that long. You can slowly walk yourself up that emotional scale, fear, anger, sadness, blah, 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 to where you get back to, oh, I can breathe again, I feel safe. Okay, now I'm actually feeling kind of good. Oh shit, I'm feeling a little joyful now. You might not get that far. You might only go up a couple steps on that ladder, right? But hey, get yourself up as high as you can on that emotional scale, because staying regulated, staying calm, staying in that healthy state where you can breathe and you can make good decisions for yourself is healthy. It's going to help you interact with those around you better. It's going to help you be less reactive. I'm saying that with a grain of salt. I know I'm still working on it, but I know this is what I need to do. Do as I say, not as I do. Y'all know that. Last thing I'm going to leave y'all with: how can I be a little bit more of myself where I am now, a little bit at a time? So how can you be a little bit more of yourself today? I want you guys to not be afraid to be yourself. You have to show yourself to the people around you and not be scared that those comments are going to come in or whatever, or that somebody's going to shut you down. Because why? Because we have our vision and we're holding it, right? So don't be afraid to show up. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't be afraid to let your things about you that you think other people are going to criticize come to the surface, because you have to. It's the only way you're going to be happy. It's the only way you're going to be truly authentic in who you are and let someone else fully see you. And when someone fully sees you, that's kind of sexy. I'm just saying, like, the authentic you can't be anybody else anyway, so stop trying. Being your fully authentic self is, to me, what's going to make us feel safest. Because when somebody fully sees you and they love you and accept you for it, well, holy shit, y'all. What better feeling in the world is that, right? All right, that's what I got for y'all today. Wishing you so much joy and peace and happiness and love and happy holidays. And if you like this episode, if you got anything out of this, please like and follow and share it with a friend if you think they could get something out of it. And I just so appreciate y'all being here every week. I am so surprised every week that y'all keep coming back. I look at the numbers and I'm like, people listen to me? It really is pretty cool, y'all. I really do appreciate it. And I'm glad that my rants aren't just like off into the void. I'm so grateful when I hear back from y'all. I'm so grateful when you comment and tell me the things that resonate or send me other questions. I love hearing from y'all. I love hearing what y'all want to talk about. Again, if it's something that I can speak to, I'm happy to. If I can't, I'll just say, well, y'all, I haven't got there yet. I don't know what that looks like. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next time. Okay. Bye, y'all.